All right, interesting article title. Can you guess what it costs to live under the American dream after 3 years of inflation on their body? If you are like most, oh, this is Michael Snyder, so you know they call him the doom porn man when it comes to America and the United States. He usually talks about the negatives of it. Yeah, it's usually about how people, don't have enough to afford everything, stuff like that, to afford their needs and even some, and wants. Afford some needs and even wants. But yeah, it's interesting to determine what's a need and what's a want. If you're like most Americans, the cost of living has been going up much faster than your income has been. Right now, millions of Americans that were once prospering are now deeply struggling. When I was growing up, most of the population could afford to live the American dream, but now it's no longer true. At this point, the basis of a middle class lifestyle are out of reach for most Americans. Poverty and homelessness are steadily rising, and the economy has become the number one issue during this election cycle. Most of us just want to think to go back. According to a brand new report that was just released, it now takes over 100,000 a year for the typical family to live the American dream in all 50 states. And in 29 of those states, it actually takes 150 grand a year. Wow. Those 29 states are probably those main states that have, I would say, NBA, the main major cities, the ones that have the NFL, NBA, and MLB, sports franchises. So interesting numbers. Median home price 250 grand. Annual child care costs 20 some grand. While annual mortgage costs 20 grand. Car costs about 8 grand. Grocery costs about 8 grand. Healthcare costs 7. Wow. Utilities cost 5. Education costs 2.5. Pet costs 1 G. Total annual cost 78. Full cost of the American Dream 156. Wow, thousand. Did your household bring in at least 150,000 last year? Wow. If not, then the American Dream would not be possible for you in most states. Needless to say, the vast majority of U.S. households are not bringing in that kind of income. Interesting. He didn't even say U.S. individuals. He said households. And in a household there could be 2 adult individuals. Or even slightly more, but most of the time it's 2. Last December, Investopedia issued a report that included that it now takes 3.4 million to live the American dream for an entire lifetime. That's what Investopedia said. Interesting. That's an interesting website too. Another report released in December by financial media site Investopedia estimates what the American dream costs across an entire lifetime: 3.4 mil. That is a staggering sum. Investopedia observes, considering what the average American earns in a lifetime, about 2.3. The average only earns about 2.3. Housing costs are the number one reason. Yeah, housing costs are the number one reason why the American dream is now out of reach for most of the U.S. population. Interesting. During the pandemic, home prices shot up at an absolutely frightening pace. See, reading this type of article and knowing that, you got a long way to ever, afford housing. You got to do some top 10% financial type tactics when it comes to sales. You got to really be super money hungry just to be able to afford. It seems like you got to be super money hungry just to be able to afford things in the U.S. You got to go after as many money contracts as you can. Man, it's like. Meanwhile, mortgage rates have risen to very painful levels. The median sale price for an existing home rose by more than 40% between 2020 and early 2020 and mid 2022. 40%. The average rate on a 30-year fixed mortgage was at only 3% beginning of 2022. Now it's at 7.2% in 2024. May 2024. The monthly payment on a 30-year fixed mortgage at 7.2% for a $400,000 home would be $2,715 a month. Yeah, that's almost 3,000 a month. That's almost like 70% of what people earn, even more over what most people who can afford that. Some people can, but most of the population can't. That helps explain why the percentage of renters that believe they will someday be able to afford to purchase a home has dropped to an all-time low. The dream of home ownership has gone even further away from renters, with higher housing costs and elevated interest rates standing in the way of the American housing dream, according to the NY Fed Reserve survey released Monday. That's down from 15% in 2023, and if they work hard and do the right things, interesting, good quote. If they work hard and do the right things, most Americans just want to be able to provide a nice life for themselves and their families. But during the Biden years, that has become increasingly difficult to do. As a result, the confidence in Biden has pummeled. Only 38% of Americans say they still have confidence in Biden to lead the country and do the right thing for Americans' economy. It's going to be a very tumultuous election season, and I'm convinced that we will see even more chaos after the election than we will before it. Wow. After than before it. The American people desperately want to change, but instead things just continue to get even worse. Decades of very foolish decisions have brought us to this point. 76,000 views, almost 400 comments. Let's check out the comment section. It doesn't matter who you choose or is chosen for you in November. It's all down here from here. Thanks to intentional decisions by our leaders. Squab and the WF Goon Squad say you will own nothing and like it. When you realize all of their policies are designed to F you off, everything begins to make a lot more sense. I'm semi-retired. Our bills are $65K less than the ones listed. Put things in perspective for me. No childcare. Sad to see the American dream is still alive, but the struggles are real. Job situation on the dailyjobcuts.com website. He put the link. It's almost comedic how 100,000 has become the entry fee to a club where the American middle class once roamed freely. Remember when hard work paid off in real time, not just in historic anecdotes. Taxation and inflation, Taxation and inflation. See what else they saying. We 8 minutes in. Some white faces have gold teeth in it now. The young kids now will most likely be with their parents all their lives. Only when parents will they ever have a house. Then the government will property tax them out of the house. Interesting. The USD has no intrinsic value. It is literally backed by politicians who print it to infinity. None of our problems are employment, production, or potential. It is our money. The amount of money given to fraudulent cases, both abroad and domestically, is coming full circle for the plebes. If you question the fiscal situation and those responsible, then you're an anti-Semitic. There isn't much we can do when the Fed can just print greenbacks without any sort of oversight or regulation. See what else we got in the comment section that's popping. But that might be about it. Glasshouse 101 said Americans were drowning before this inflation hit, but if both adults working full time, if it weren't for our voracious appetite for consumer debt, brand new cars, fancy furniture, and kitchen and baths, and extravagant vacations, we could weather this storm. I'm not optimistic about our country's future. See what they're saying. Childcare isn't the American dream. Stay home with the kids. The value of the money went down. It's a stove tax to pay for all that free government handed out stuff. Inflation is much worse. See what else they saying. $150K is the new 50K. Wow. Working 3 50K jobs or one government job. No. The American dream changed. It's about getting rich quick, not about family, a house, and kids. But in order to afford a family, house, and kids, you pretty much gotta get rich now. Ridiculous. Alright, that's it for now. Alright, that's what it is. Holla. Like, comment, subscribe. Holla.